All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Long conversation today around viewing habits of college football, kind of how you view it emotionally now. 800-239-9569. You want to get in. Hoping to connect with Brandon Marcello here shortly, get his thoughts on this college football season and maybe the future of building football teams. He has an article up now at CBSSports.com on that topic. Ken in Minnesota has been patient, wants to discuss his college football viewing habits and how they've changed. Welcome into the show, Ken.
Good morning, gentlemen. How's it going?
Great, thank you.
Morning.
Hey, real quick, I agree with Greg. Watching Bama games now is it's just as fun before, but I actually enjoy it better now. It got boring, second, third quarter. You knew the game was 45-10 and was probably going to be 63-13 by the end of the game, and it actually did get real boring for me. So I enjoy it now more so. I do. I like the fourth quarter games a lot more.
Okay.
And as far as this fellow that wants to watch wrestling and the other fellow that wants to go fishing on a Saturday, maybe they could get together and watch wrestling on the boat or something. I don't know, because my Saturday's consumed, man, from 8 o'clock in the morning watching all the national shows and stuff, whether it be SEC Nation or Game Day, all the way till 10 o'clock at night watching West Coast games or whatever. That's just, it's consumed, man, all day long on Saturday. I can't get enough. And I like it more so now. I think it is parity for me. It's not so much the playoffs, although they're fun, and I'm fine with 12. I don't want to go any further. But it's parity for me, man. It's fun these days, man. Who would have thought Arizona State would have a good football team? And Tulane, whatever. James Madison. I enjoy watching all of it, even more so now.
Yeah,
No
I think it's a great
here.
point. It's cool to see other teams get to that spot and then maybe have a chance, and that introduces us to other cool players. Cam Scatterbo, if that's a 6-6 team, how much are we talking about him 2 years ago? Probably not a lot of emphasis, not a lot of focus, yet we get introduced to him. He becomes fun to watch. More people want to chime in, see him play. More people want to tune in, watch. And it does. It's some of the viewing habits have changed. Some for good, some for bad. But I don't think it's made too many people completely change the channel. And I don't just mean to another game. I mean to other activities, as we were discussing, Greg.
For sure.
I don't think there's a ton of people, even if you don't have the emotional investment in Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, whatever that is, as you once did, I still don't think there's a ton of people that are saying, you know what? Pickleball. You know what? Gardening. You know what? Shopping. I still think a lot of people are like us in that football's really cool. And sometimes other teams are cool to watch.
And you only get so much of it.
Only get so much. And sometimes I want to see that team's style of defense, that team's overall style of play, that running back. If you're me, that left guard. Not a lot of other folks out there saying that. I get it. Not a lot of people turn it on to see Parker Brailsford. But some of you might be. But I don't think the overall consumption is even close to taking a dip.
No, far from it. Minutes consumed is far higher. The stats and the data supports the sport being more popular now than ever before. It's not even close.
And I think this season is only going to raise the ante.
And I'll say this, dude. Look, we live in the Southeast. Like, it's part of our culture down here. It's what we do. But it was a highly regionalized sport. It was a highly regionalized sport. Tons. And honestly, like, the national coverage of it is kind of non-existent nationally. It's growing. Like, it's growing. It's becoming more popular. It's reaching other parts of the country. Like, in the state of Indiana, I don't know what the numbers are right now, but I would imagine minutes are up significantly. I think all over the country, it went from being a very regionalized sport to a sport that's now widely consumable. And there's an interest for many teams in many places. That's why people in this part of the country, we've watched Pac-12 After Dark forever. We'll continue to. But that wasn't always the case for other sections of the country as well.
Ben Hollingsworth tweeted, saying, never understood these takes from Bama fans. Dominating never got boring to me. Some of my favorite Bama games were games we completely dominated. I understand that aspect as well. But I also think that under pure domination, it was easier to miss some of the game, not watch the whole game, have other things going on during the game. Whereas now, even subconsciously, it may feel a little bit more like I can't miss any of this. I need to be here for every play.
Yes.
You might not like it as much as far as end result or the way you're able to talk about it afterwards.
Yes.
But intrigue is absolutely raised.
100%.
I would imagine.
And guess what? Every play matters now.
Robert Henderson tweets in, speaking on college football today, Cole and Greg, in your experience, why did so many people love SEC football in the past as opposed to today? Because politics and blatant millions were so exposed. Love the level of competition, but hate the portal. I don't think people love SEC football less today. Who loves it less?
People, the SEC is more popular than ever.
Go to some of these SEC towns. Like there are no places to build around the city of Auburn. It's all going outside. Go to Tuscaloosa. You see new buildings every time you go there. New apartments are going up. High-rise apartments. New office buildings. New establishments are going up in Tuscaloosa. Go to Oxford. They're building new stuff up. Starkville is totally different than it was a decade ago. And these college towns are exploding.
Exploding. The SEC has never been more popular. Ever.
Now, dominant in popularity, two different things.
Totally different.
Legend says the game ain't bad due to parity. It's bad because you can't identify with your team for a whole season. If they moved the transfer portal to after the championship game started the offseason like every other sport of the season, fans could identify again. Unfortunately, right now, Legend, I think kids are still going to find a way to snake the rules to a certain extent. But I also can understand guys going from one team to the other, coming to your team from a different team. Like Greg said, it makes a little bit of the relatability go away. It's diminished. There's no doubt about that. And I think some people like Greg are putting a little bit of a blinder on to say, I just like the football. And when my team puts the uniform on, I like to watch that. And I can focus in on that. So AC's dad tweets in, Bama fans calling in saying they enjoy Bama football more now are self-soothing the post-Saban era. Joyless murder ball, way more fun to watch. Alas, those days are generally gone for the entire sport. Yeah?
It doesn't mean that they enjoy it less. It means that the games are more entertaining. There's a big difference there. If the game comes down to the wire, it's more entertaining. There's more on the line. Your anxiety's higher. Watching it with no level of discomfort is not as enjoyable for some folks, including me. I like watching teams dominate every snap. It's great. I have tremendous respect for Indiana and the teams that are still capable of doing that. But the anxiety of potentially losing is more intense and more entertaining than me. I get on a roller coaster because I like the anxiety. I like the surge of emotions. If the roller coaster was just a steady, slow pace, still exhilarating nonetheless, but there was no risk, it wasn't as fun. It's the way I roll.
Article up now at CBSSports.com, speaking of Indiana, about building a roster and what does the future look like there. Brandon Marcello, author of that article, joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. You can find him on Twitter at @BMarcello. Indiana's championship run, you say, is not a fairy tale. It's a warning for college football's old order as to how the order of roster building may look in the future. How much of that do you really believe is going to be the case for the majority of college football, though, Brandon, that they want to follow this blueprint or at least try to follow the Indiana blueprint when building their teams?
I mean, some programs can to a certain extent. They got to be a little bit more creative. They can't. I mean, listen, I can't tell you how many staffs and they just look at the recruiting rankings, or they look at what other schools are offering. Kids. I can't tell you how many kids will tell you, I got offered by this or whatever, and that announcement comes out, and then within a few days they start getting offers from other schools just because that school was offered. I mean, it's just it's a bit ridiculous. As much as coaches and, the analysts and everything say that they're watching tape and watching all these kids, a lot of times they're just kind of following the leader. And so that's a big issue. But also, to me, when I hear coaches like a Steve Sarkisian back in May at SEC spring meetings going, listen, everybody's going to have to get used to the fact that we're not ever going to see an undefeated, college football champion again. It's just hard out there. Yeah, it is difficult. But, these guys getting paid $10, $12 million not to just keep doing things the way they were been done. You need to go be creative. You need to be doing things a little bit different. And, the fact of the matter is there's a lot of coaches out there that just continue to do things the way they've always been done. And, again, the dirty secret has been, especially with high school recruiting and even transfer to a certain extent, but high school recruiting mostly, they just go out and offer guys that based off star ratings, or they go offer someone if they hear another school's kind of offering them. But I think the portal has had to make these coaches build these type of, front offices and analysts to where they have to change that way of thinking. And I think, frankly, a lot of schools are having issues with it.
So when you look at the movement and the tampering and all this other stuff, how exactly is that being handled? Is it more now than ever? Is it less? Is it calming down? How is that going on? And I know it's a weird time to ask it with what's going on with Darian Mensah and his move likely from Duke to Miami. But where do you see that going?
It's about the same. And, the fact of the matter is that, it depends on what level of tampering. There's a lot of players out there that are just communicating through their own agents, and their agents are talking to schools themselves or others about, who their clients might be interested in. They're not even really necessarily talking directly with the players. So it's kind of your definition of what tampering is. It's not like the NFL level where you can't really do that, but, you're not talking to the player or anything like that, and you're talking to people on the ancillary circles of them. It's an interesting interpretation, but it happens everywhere. It's been happening, and it'll continue happening until there's some really big time organization that's overseeing this, and there's a financial penalty structure and all this stuff. And secondly, and more importantly to me, you have a way to prove it, and that's very hard. It's been very hard for the NCAA and now the College Sports Commission, for that matter, to even look at that and be able to prove it.
Brandon Marcello of CBS Sports joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, talking college football roster building moving ahead. What aspect, if teams are going to try and mirror what Indiana did to build a team this way, what's going to be the most difficult part to sort of stick to your guns on if you're going to build a roster the way that Indiana did? Because my philosophy on this, Brandon, is that teams will want to do it, but there's still going to be that obsession with elite high school recruiting the high school stars. I don't mean individual star. I mean 4 stars, 5 stars. And I hear coaches say that. They say it all the time. We're still going to be a heavy high school recruiting team. We're still going to go after more high school talent. And I don't know if Indiana lived that life, yet here they are winning a national championship. So what part of it is going to be most difficult, not necessarily to accomplish, but for coaches to sort of buy into consistently to build their rosters this way?
Yeah, I think that in a lot of ways, you look at the numbers and you go, well, Indiana hasn't abandoned high school recruiting completely, but in some ways they have, because, listen, just look at it right now. Alberto Mendoza was sitting there waiting in the wings to replace his brother, and instead, listen, Kurt Signetti, he's the boss, and he goes, listen, Josh Hoover can come in and help us immediately. So sorry about that. You go make your own plans, go make something else happen somewhere else. And so he leaves, and there's a transfer portal. And, there's going to be some talent there that stays there, high school recruiting that comes through the ranks, and they develop and stays there and ends up being a starter their sophomore, junior, senior year. But he's certainly taken that approach of, we're going to bring guys in to immediately help us and complement us and be able to start. And if they're only here a year, so be it. But that's what Signetti has been able to identify that works for him. The big question for me is listen, it's very clear that there's one Kurt Signetti. There's no other Kurt Signettis out there. So for anybody to go out there and be able to just absolutely just replicate this blueprint step for step would be foolish, because you don't have Signetti, who, listen, he's got a scouting department and all that stuff, but every decision obviously comes down to him. But he's watching so much film on these guys and identifying them and getting such a big head start on what they want out of the portal. I mean, there's no one else out there, to be quite frank, that has his evaluation process and his keen eye to detail that's made them kind of take this Moneyball approach, so to speak, to go get production and players that he knows will fit his system and be able to coach them to a point where, they go 12 straight games or whatever it was this year without losing a fumble or not having as much penalties they've had. This guy is, I say one in a million, but he's unique. And listen, this is a copycat sport, always has been, but you can't copy this thing step by step because there's only one Curt Signetti.
No denying that. He definitely has a unique approach. How would you assess his process and what makes it different? I mean, I know, like you said, the evaluation, but also finding his guys that want to do his thing, that fit in their system. How is it that they're able to watch more, if you will, than some of the other programs?
Well, Curt, one, like a lot of coaches, but he trusts his assistants to do things. He's also built up that type of staff where he knows that they're going to be identify players that might be only in the portal and bring them to him. So he's got ample time. I'm talking months of time to be able to look at the film and evaluate things. Of course, the process, the step-by-step process, I should say, is very similar to what other schools are doing. I mean, it isn't like Curt Signetti sitting there in their scouting department going, okay, let me start from scratch here. They're bringing the names, the type of the guys that he wants. He's talked a lot about, under Nick Saban, about things as he's learned about just looking at what he calls, the twitch, looking at the ankle, the flexibility of players in those certain areas of their body. And, I'm not saying other schools just don't do that, but again, it's just a situation where this guy's just better than everybody else in his keen, sense of details. And, he talks about being a film junkie. I talked to him yesterday. I was asking him, I go, what are your plans here in the future in the next few weeks? And is there any film out there you're itching to really look at? And, he said that there is, but he is going to take a few weeks here to kind of reevaluate some things. But it's fascinating to me looking and hearing about, like, for example, their portal class they're bringing in this year. It's much more Power 5 guys than ever before under Curt Signetti he's bringing in. But that class, very much so, by mid-season, they kind of knew who they wanted to go after. And I think it's that quick process of identifying guys and Signetti doing that in the middle of the season because, again, he's making all these decisions. He's watching these guys the most. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that does it like him and can do it.
Who do you think's closest to potentially being next? And maybe not doing it, building the roster exactly the way he does, but just taking a team from out of nowhere that we're not paying attention to and making them a real player. Let's not even go as far as national championship, but somebody who you see where they are, how they've done it, how you think they can do it moving forward, has the resources around them to be able to do it, that you think could be next. And it can be multiple teams if you think they're out there.
Oklahoma State, Eric Morris, right now. I think they could win like 8 games next year. They completely revamped the roster. I like the guys they brought in. Obviously, he's brought in a handful of guys from North Texas to help him, including Drew Messamaker. That's a team I think will be an immediate, not necessarily Big 12 challenger, but they see someone that will be back in the mix, and they'll do so overnight. John Summerall, I think more so not necessarily just the type of players he brings in, but just his ability to galvanize, put a team together, and get them all to believe in each other. And then they improve. Every single John Summerall team you watch, they're just absolutely improving week to week to week to week. And he does it year after year. It's very difficult to do, especially this day and age. And I've got big faith in him in the future, especially long-term at Florida. But even in the short term, I think that's going to be a team at Florida next year that you're going to say week 11, they're so much better than they were in week 4, week 5. And again, these are all new hires because that's the reason why these guys were hired and bring them in. And you saw these athletic directors who went out and hired guys that they knew that they could bring some players with them. I mean, 3 hires from the group of 5 level. They brought their quarterbacks with them to their new schools: Auburn, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, and even at Penn State, Rocco Beck following, Matt Campbell to Penn State from Iowa State. So in a lot of ways, those ADs are following the Curt Cignetti process of, hey, Curt Cignetti went to Indiana and brought 13 James Madison guys with them. That was the core that got them turned around. Maybe we can find that now in this group of 6 level. But I think here pretty quickly, guys, next year we're going to see if anybody can, quote unquote, replicate to a certain extent of what that Indiana process looks like.
Finally, Brandon, as you look at more and more of where we're going in the SEC, strictly in the SEC, it still feels like star power wins the day. Everyone wants the 4-star, the 5-star, what have you. The SEC fan is naturally inclined, and I think the SEC coach is naturally inclined to chase talent and potential over production in some cases. Do you think that Indiana adjustment will be slower to hit the SEC, or do you think more and more folks in the Southeast will start to apply that logic as well?
I think the only ones that will be inclined to do so, or maybe, quote unquote, have the freedom to do so, and this is, and I'm stretching the meaning of freedom there, would be the lower tier programs, because there's so much pressure to do kind of what every other SEC program does as far as chasing talent. I do think to a certain extent Vanderbilt's done that, and I'm not saying they haven't done the Indiana thing. But listen, they went and got Diego Pavia, that wasn't necessarily a 5-star guy in the portal, and they built the program their way, and not just through the portal, but through high school recruiting and getting guys to come there and develop everything. And look back, Curt Cignetti, I win, Google me. Purdue sucks, Ohio State, or, Michigan does too. But look at Clark Lee when he got there. When he was hired, he said, listen, we're going to make this the best football program in America, and everybody's going to want to come here. And here we are several years later, and you have to say to a certain extent, he's delivered on that, which is pretty remarkable. It's just they didn't do it in the process of 1 to 2 years. So I think it's possible at any program out there, but it is, as you said, much more difficult to do that in the SEC. But there are some programs kind of doing that. I think Arkansas is kind of doing that under Ryan Silverfield, but I think a lot of that's because they have to. They're not going to get any blue chip guys. Will that work? I'm not so certain on that. But, listen, I think schools are just hesitant to take chances, especially when it comes to just, trust your gut instead of following the leader. And it's just more difficult to do these days.
How will you remember this Indiana team? How should they be remembered historically?
Yeah, I did a story on that earlier this week. I've been working on it for a while. Talked to the guys at Miracle on Ice, NC State 83, all the great American sports moments. It's certainly one where, it wasn't an upset and it wasn't overnight. It wasn't like one game, a buzzer beater or a Hail Mary or anything like that. But what they did in the process of 2 years, we never see it in college football. We know that. But to me, this is one of the great moments in American sports history of the modern era or the last 40 years. And I think it kind of stacks up there. This will be something that we always remember 20, 25 years from now of Indiana kind of coming up from nowhere. And then on the next chapter, I'm fascinated to see if they can keep this going. I think they can. Will they win another national championship? Maybe, maybe not. But they're going to continue to have this sustained success. And it just goes to show you, because of the system we're in right now that's not really regulated and it's just so much chaos, this can happen overnight if you have the right type of coach. And there will probably be other programs that build themselves over the next 3 to 4 years that will be in the playoff that maybe we didn't quite expect. And, listen, I think Texas Tech's a perfect example as well, but that's been supercharged by money. It's just that Indiana's found them a unique coach who's so damn good at his job that he can make himself better despite some of the limited resources with NIL. But that's about to be supercharged for them. So I mean, Cignetti's not going anywhere.
Crazy to think about. Brandon, great stuff. Couple great articles you have up now at cbssports.com. Thanks for sharing your time with us today. We'll catch up soon.
All right, see you guys.
Brandon Marcello with us on the Higginbotham Hotline. A lot to unpack there, a lot to discuss there, furthering our points on where college football is headed in terms of building a roster, maybe becoming a national champion. We'll stick with that conversation. Also, an update to a story that we brought up to you a little bit earlier on the show. Some folks on Twitter pumping their chest out a little bit right now. Flu season here. Make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. Removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus, 100 times more effective than standard air filters, 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. Find a dealer near you at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a train. We will update you on a local story concerning eligibility next on Jogs. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Maybe some good news weather-wise is that part of this apocalypse heading our way is shifting north. I don't know if that means that we escape it all. John, did you guys come up with a plan for that yesterday?
Part of it was to semi-procrastinate, but honestly wait until today and see if the model would look a little honestly like what it's doing if it's going to move or shift north to kind of adjust the plan from that.
What model do you trust the most?
10cc, global, federal, state, local.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be the European models, but that's what the weather people are saying. The Euro models are the ones that are most accurate. That's actually not a joke. I'm telling you what the tweets say.
Works for Leo.
No, that's not what I meant. Greg, what model do you trust the most?
All of them.
When it comes to weather?
All of them.
Doppler?
Doppler, like model toys. I don't know. All I've been told is that next week's supposed to be the coldest week ever in the history of the world.
No, I think 1894 was colder.
No, that was when Yale won it all at 16-0. That was a big year.
Yeah, hell froze over. Look what happened.
They were lunching.
There will come a day I get that right. Rick is in Southern California, wants to talk state of college football and how it's affected his viewing habits. Rick, welcome in.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for taking my call. Listen, I'm going to start off by saying, well, first of all, congratulations to Indiana. I think everybody will agree it's one hell of a story. I'm starting to already try to figure out who's going to play what parts once the movie comes out. But I can see John Hamm playing Signetti. Anyway, I'm an old guy. I'm a sixth-decade Alabama fan. I actually remember the run in the mud. I mean, so I go back a long, long way. I had two uncles that played for Bama. And listen, I only wish that I could have gotten the money that these guys are getting before I even knew how to do my damn job that I've been doing for almost 40 years, that I had to go to training and school and everything else for it. And it would have been nice to, collect money before I even wrote the first document that I've written millions of. It would be great. Football has changed. We all know that. I have the unique ability to, if I cannot control something, I simply don't care. And I don't, obviously this is making for some really great games. It's making for some, cross-conference type stuff going on that's really, really unique and fun to watch. We all know that the days of dynasties ended with Alabama's in 2020. That was the last. We'll never see anything like that again. And as a Bama fan, I'm happy about that. But I don't put any emotion into anything that 18 to 25-year-olds do. Nothing. I mean, Alabama wins, wonderful. The next day I'm going back to work, and I've literally forgotten about it. And the same with the loss. When they lost Indiana, I was at the Rose Bowl. And it was disgusting. I've never seen an Alabama team actually quit on the field, which is exactly what they did. And I'll argue with you all day long about it, Greg. But
I never argued against it. I said their will was killed, and they did.
Oh, okay.
They did quit.
They just absolutely. There was I heard a couple of linemen from Alabama going into the fourth quarter said, we have another quarter of this blank.
Yeah, they were completely out of gas.
Yeah, and I left the stadium and got on, the little tour bus that we had to take back, and I literally had already started thinking about work on Monday. So that's my kind of emotional tie. I always believe in like your teams, love your family. And I live by that motto, so I don't really take it with me. The one thing I will say, anybody that thinks that there's a such thing as Southern pride anymore when it comes to college football in the South is hallucinating. These kids couldn't give a rat's ass how they were raised, Bama, Georgia, Tennessee. They don't care anymore. I mean, it's all about who's going to pay them and who's going to bring them to, and and bouncing from program to program. I think it's insane. I think it's chaotic, and I think it's going to ruin college football. But I'm 65 years old, so that's what us older guys think. You younger guys, oh, this is wonderful. And that's all. It's fine. It's just a difference of opinion. I think it's just what we're creating with all of this is going to end up biting everybody in the ass when it comes to college football, with the agents, with the universities, with the administrations. You realize the strain that's on administrations when you've got one guy bouncing from one program to another. I mean, just the sending of information from school to school to school is putting a big strain on the administrations of these programs. I think that if we ever get to a point where there's a committee or a conference, or a commissioner that will oversee all this, and we put a stop to the lunacy of paying a guy $4 million to say that's never taken a snap, a professional snap. If they could ever get that in line, then fine. There may be something to it. But right now, I see this as a complete disaster that makes for great football games. I mean, it's fun to watch, but how anybody thinks this is just so wonderful for the sport is beyond me. But then again, like I said, I can't control it, so I really, really don't care. I turn it on out in the yard when I'm, pulling weeds and doing my yard work, but I don't have any emotional ties to it really beyond, just listening to it out in the yard. So I hope that's not a too negative of a take. I am excited, and I was excited to watch and see what Indiana did with this. I think it's wonderful for their fan base. Why shouldn't their fan base be able to experience something I have physically for, 12, 15 different titles? So I think it's great for them, and I'd love to see another team rise up and like an Arizona State or a Texas Tech, one of those programs. It'd be great. It really would. So hope that helps you. I hope you guys, don't get too negative of a thought on me on that.
No,
But,
appreciate you sharing it, Rick.
as well, and be safe in all that weather.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the call. Some of the and ifs ors there makes for great football. So people are watching. So not a complete disaster. Now, I do agree the way that some of this is being handled is disastrous. And I think the majority of the disasters that we will be talking about in 20 years are going to be very different. And it's going to be after guys are finished playing football and what they're dealing with there. But that is of not many people's concerns that are in charge right now.
Correct.
The commissioner thing I do believe is interesting. Like, I know this is a cute topic and a lot of people talk about it. But why would other people that have great control of large entities voluntarily allow someone else to have control of how they operate?
Be hard to justify.
Yeah. In other words, it's not happening.
Not happening.
It's fun.
Not
It's a
happening.
really cool conversation, and who it should be and who would do a great job and what they would do when they're there. Take any reign of power in any facet of life at any point in history. Very rarely will you find those people who have severe control of something that reigns supreme allow other people to control large portions of it. It just isn't real.
Yeah.
Now, the entities governing certain parts of themselves, that's a different story. Big Ten, SEC coming together saying, these are the rules we agree upon. We shall ask someone to enforce them for us, but they decide what it is? Okay, maybe.
But they can't even agree on the amount of playoff teams there should be. So the likelihood of them finding common ground feels
Slim.
as far away now as ever.
Slim to none.
And by the way, and you can call me an SEC homer all you want. As a college football fan, removing any level of bias whatsoever, anyone that thinks we go to 24 teams from 12 is, to me, out of touch with that circuit. Like, that feels like a gigantic leap. And I understand why some teams and ADs and schools would be pushing for it, those that were currently in the middle ground, like, give us a chance. I get that, but, man, 24s.
Yeah.
That changes the game, man.
All right, I teased a story with a new headline just a moment ago. We'll get to that next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We discussed a story concerning eligibility a little bit earlier, surrounding former Alabama basketball player Charles Bediako. Now, he has been granted a temporary restraining order and is, get ready for it, immediately eligible to participate for Alabama basketball.
Go time.
Ross Dellinger released a statement that we read earlier on the show from the NCAA last night, saying they are aware of media reports. Mr. Bediako signed 3 NBA contracts after competing in college for 2 seasons. The NCAA will not grant eligibility to any prospective or returning student athletes who have signed an NBA contract. Certain people will debate that. So I don't. Here's what I don't know. And we talked about this in the break. I asked John about this too. By the way, that restraining order came from Tuscaloosa County Judge James Roberts. Where is Nate Oates on this? Where's the university on this? I honestly ask because I do not know. Do they want him back now?
No idea.
I have no clue. Could this just be Bediako doing this to get the eligibility and then say,
now I'm in the portal?
Yes. And then how quickly could he go play somewhere else? I don't even know. I feel like anything's on the table because of what we've already seen take place.
Right.
But I don't know.
It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy.
A couple other portal movement notes. Ole Miss edge rusher Princewell Uman-Mielen has entered the transfer portal.
Why do you think that is? You think he's mad? Here's
idea.
just my assumption. I don't know. Do you think he's mad that they went out and got Blake Purchase from Oregon and he's getting more than him?
I do know that a real problem in college locker rooms right now are the amounts. And that there are a lot of kids that are before spring practice, before fall practice, before actual games, are self-determining their playing time and their starting status by the money that's being doled out. So you're getting guys that are saying, all right, Greg makes $50,000 a year more than me. We both play quarterback. He must be the starter. I'm leaving. When neither of us has played in a game, no determination has been made of who the starter is or what the reps are going to look like in spring ball. We have an open competition going into spring. We both just got here. But I found out Greg's making $75,000 more than I am, therefore I'm out. Because I'm determining by that, Greg is our starting quarterback. Otherwise, why would you be paying him more money? And it just doesn't always work that way.
No, it doesn't always work that way. There's a reason why Trinidad Chambliss making 1/5 of what backups in other places were making and or what Austin Simmons was making.
So I don't know how you manage that. You can say we would like to give everybody at every position the same amount. That's not real. Even if Damian is determined to be a better athlete, have a higher ceiling than me, if I'm a 3-year starter someone else, I'm probably more valuable right now. Damian, more valuable 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 10 weeks from now.
Yeah.
But you can't go into a room and say, we're going to pay you all the same. You would love to do that. You would love for every offensive lineman to make the same, every running back to make the same, every tight end to make the same. But you know what? Riley Nowakowski does different things than Eli Stowers does.
Mm-hmm.
There's different value there.
Correct.
I need you in different situations to do different things.
Correct. It's a different responsibility. It's a different role. It's a different this. It's a different that. That changes the game. It's very, very different.
In other portal news, Georgia Tech has signed Alberto Mendoza, Fernando's brother from Indiana.
Yeah, how you feel about it? Like it? Love it?
He was 18 of 24 for 286 this year.
Good runner.
Yeah, he's got good wheels.
Good
Ran for
athlete.
190, I think.
Yep, real good athlete. I don't know what he's going to be. I have no idea. I couldn't even begin to guess. I would think he's Probably got real good head on his shoulders, just knowing Fernando and getting to know him. Something would tell me he's a terrific kid. I have no idea though. No idea.
Miami true freshman safety Amari Wallace has entered the transfer portal. A couple other players from Miami have entered the portal in the last couple of days. Georgia's going to make a change at offensive line coach. Stacey Searle is going to move into an analyst role. Former NFL offensive line coach, Georgia off-field assistant Phil Rauscher is going to be named their new offensive line coach. How does Kirby keep getting these guys to take off the field roles and stay on staff?
Life's good. I don't know. How would I know? I mean, life's good, baby. Life's good. Because it's a good place, it's a good launch pad. I mean, I think you look at a million places. I mean, it's the same advantages that Bama had for a long time when the analysts would come and work for pennies on a dollar. It's a good launch pad. An endorsement from Kirby probably goes a long way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Learning their processes probably goes a long way. Hey, I spent some time with the Georgia program. Ooh, that's attractive. Come work for us.
We'll see. Ruben Baines accepted an invite to the Senior Bowl. He'll be one to watch down there in Mobile. Indiana offensive lineman Evan Lawrence has entered the transfer portal as well. Greg, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, Polar Bear Services has been my go-to for a long time. They are the very best and help me in a million different ways around the house. It can help with electrical. It can help with plumbing. One thing I know that they'll help you with, though, and you might need it here in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be chilly. It's going to be cold. You want to make sure that your home comfort system's up to the task and make sure your heating system is ready to roll, and you can get it checked out properly with the checkup from the experts at Polar Bear Services, the independent trained dealer. They can do tune-ups, duct cleaning, repair, installation, you name it. Anything for your home comfort system can be done thanks to Polar Bear Services. I trust them. You'll love them. Remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. It's 497-BEAR.
A potential all-timer next on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, Wednesday, January 21st, right here on Jocks. Get to our bad box scores, plural, of the day here in just a moment. First, I'll tell you about my friends at Game Day Men's Health. If you're feeling on edge, lacking sleep, lacking energy, Game Day Men's Health can help you. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for the free consultation. You're going to get the free PSA test, free testosterone test. Find out your baseline health, how they think they can help you, present different options, multiple programs in which they can help, weight loss, peptides, etc. Save 10% on any of those options when you mention Mac and Cube and you walk in the front door. Locker room environment, holistic approach to health and wellness, minimal upfront cost from the programs they offer. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now to sign up for the free consultation. Let's get to our bad box scores of the day. Sunday, we have to go back just a little bit. The Fisher College
Toys.
of Maine.
Of Maine? Oh, they're the River Wolves.
They're not. No.
Let's say the Lakers.
They're the Falcons. They moved to 0-13 on the season, going down to the Washington Adventist College.
They're the Warriors.
No.
Avalanche.
No.
Let's say the Avengers.
They're the Shock.
Mm-hmm.
And the final score
That's
was
actually a pretty
shocking.
good name.
116-16.
116 to what?
To 16.
That's a double up.
Nah, a
A little bit more.
little further.
Close enough.
Your score by quarter, 33-4, 33-6.
Okay, getting better.
Score less in the second half.
After a few halftime adjustments, you come out 29-0 in the third.
Completely shut out.
Mm-hmm.
They had a scoreless quarter of basketball.
Yeah, that's
Scoreless.
hard to do.
21-6 in the fourth. Fisher College
coach.
shot the ball 45 times.
And they made
5.
total baskets.
They went scoreless in a quarter, so that's not surprising.
There is one positive in all of this. They shot 19 threes.
One went
Okay.
in. One. Just one.
5.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
That's not awful.
So
1 for 1 from the free throw line.
Okay.
5 of 19 from 3. They did not hit a 2.
They pulled a Gene Chizik at the free throw line.
there was
In an entire
Yeah.
basketball game, did not make a field goal inside the 3-point line.
what are the rebounding numbers? I got to hear this before but
53-26.
that's not coaching.
Washington Adventist shot the ball 101 times.
If
Triple
they ain't going to
digits.
stop me.
They
Wow.
made 51.
Ooh.
If they ain't going to stop me, yeah.
9 of 32 from 3. Now, there were 39 turnovers in the game by Fisher.
See, that's not coaching. That is the players. Like, that is all on the players. I get
That's
sick of that.
definitely it. That's
Specifically-
definitely it.
Canelis Velasquez, who went 1 for 20 in the game.
That's not coaching?
5%.
You're telling me that's not coaching?
1 for 9 from 3. Did make the team's only free throw.
See?
I was going to say, though, were all those shots from 3?
By the way, she was 1 for 1 for 3 from free throw. 1 of 9 from 3. So did she get fouled on the 1-3?
Must have.
Yeah, must
Did
have.
she
So
make-
she had a 4-point play.
No, she finished with 4 points. That was a team high.
Team high of 4.
I'll just drop this on you quickly. That was Sunday night. Friday night, Cheney University knocked off Fisher 112-21.
Okay, that's coaching.
They need to stop
Definitely
playing.
coaching.